What's going on, guys? Emo Tempest again, and today I have this one is actually going to be another Nats deck profile. This is actually Zach Burrell, one of the Choco Bros. He got top four. He's actually now an official Worlds NA Worlds team member. So congratulations again to him. And also he has some tech choices, and he talks a lot about the Water Lightning Agrias deck he played. So man, yeah, just I hope you guys enjoy it. These are Nationals, FFTCG National interviews, old-fashioned deck profiles. So, yeah, like I said, enjoy. What's going on, guys? Emo Tempest here, and I'm here with Zach Burrell, top four finalist, officially on the NA Worlds team.
Yes.
Congratulations, Zach.
Thank you very much.
You did a great job this weekend. I'm super proud for you, man. So I'm hoping you can share your deck with us, give us a little insight as to why you played it, and some of your tech choices for this weekend.
Absolutely. So step one for my weekend was I was playing Mono Ice. So it's what I qualified for Nationals with at the LQ. And I felt really comfortable with the deck. I wanted to play 3 Sephiroth that's in some deck this weekend. Wasn't feeling totally confident about the kind of Moogles 5-color deck. So I wanted to default back to Mono Ice. So secondary deck, I hadn't had a lot of reps on the fire decks, so I was kind of going through my options. Mono Wind is good, but I wasn't totally confident in that either. But I saw the Agrias decks, and they look like a blast, and they're definitely my kind of deck, so I wanted to play that. I couldn't play the tricolor version, because I had Sephiroths in Mono Ice, so I kind of just played good old Water, Lightning, basic Agrias.
Alright, so let's see what you got, man.
So, obviously, as the namesake of the deck, Agrias. So playing this card, you flip cards to hit a character of 3 or less and put it on the field, and then shuffle, put them on the bottom. So what you do is you play a lot of one-of backups that search, say like Duke Ultana, King of Bermesia, Braun, stuff like that. Try to get extra value off of playing her so that she's super CP efficient. What I learned when I was kind of picking the deck up was I talked to Sam Toole, and I was like, oh, so you just mulligan an Agrias and jam it turn 1. He's like, no. He's like, you play backup turn 1. Try to get to 2 backups and play her like that so that you can get up to either 3 backups or you at least have a board presence. So if you get like Fanford or something, you don't just get wiped out of the game. But the other cool thing about Agrias is she not only supports this kind of slower control strategy, she also supports going wide, because not only does she get more cards for you and more board presence, she also gets bigger if you have 7 characters or more. She gets +2. So she's a beat stick, she's value, she's an amazing card. She doesn't actually cost 6, and I love cards that are way more efficient than their CP cost, and we'll get into why that's a little more important later. But the next cards are good old Layla Viking. Most water decks want this, maybe not so much like the kind of YRP decks, but in this deck, like I said, you're all about efficient card advantage and going wide all at the same time, and these cards do that perfectly. And honestly, these cards, in conjunction with 2 other cards in the deck, won me more games than anything on day 2. Which, by the way, I was 32nd seed going into day 2, put in the losers bracket, and I had to win a bunch of best of ones. I only played this deck on day 2.
Wow, okay.
So I never went back to Ice because this deck was just so good. Next card, which again goes along with the going wide strategy, and the beginning of our removal package, is Cloud of Darkness. So Cloud of Darkness, as most people probably know, when Cloud of Darkness enters the field, you choose a target forward and give it negative 2,000 power for each forward you have. So if you have, say you just have an Agrias on board, then you go Layla Viking, draw a card, drop Cloud of Darkness, negative 8 something, which is usually, it's almost like a removal summon, but it's on a forward body. And again, we want a lot of bodies. And then also, Cloud of Darkness when it attacks is a negative 1,000 for each forward you have, which again, more removal, makes their blocking a lot harder. The thing about this deck is, like I said, card advantage, removal, but they're also all bodies, and like 8k is pretty sizable too. We're gonna slide this one down. Next removal card, Fusoya.
Card of the week, I think.
Yeah, card of probably. This deck is probably like the second deck of the weekend, right? The first being that mono fire craziness that just destroyed Swiss.
Yeah.
But then I think Agrias was the next popular deck that we haven't seen a lot of. I mean, we have seen it, but not like, it's not like mono wind, which has been around forever, or wind water, which has been around forever. Anyway, Fusoya enters the field, choose a target. you get to reveal the top 2 cards and deal damage to the target you chose equal to the sum total of the CP cost of what you flip. So, like I was saying earlier about Agrias costing 6, but not actually costing 6, it makes Fusoya do a lot more damage without your deck being like unplayable. So Cloud of Darkness costs 5. We're gonna get into a couple more kind of big forwards that also help facilitate this. But then you also get to draw 2. So again, super efficient, high cost, removal. It's kind of the theme of the deck. Then we get into Kane, which this card was one that I did not respect enough until this weekend. And I'm glad I decided to put the 3rd copy in. So a lot of other deck, the card does first. He cost 8, but as an alternate cost, you can you can put a lightning back if you control into the break zone, and if you do, his cost reduced by 5. So as most people, well, I guess maybe some people don't know, when you play a card, you don't just go like pay cost, play card. You actually play the card on the field, declare or calculate costs, lock in cost, pay cost. So you put him down, you say, all right, using alternate mode, get rid of the card, 3, play it. When he enters, negative 8,000 something. Again, high cost, removal, forward, go wide, cost less. Deck is super efficient, super fun. And then the kind of the closer to the deck is Ramza. So this card hasn't seen a lot of play in the past few opuses without being kind of like a fringe deck. And he costs 1 less for each forward you have. So like that turn I was talking about earlier, if you have Agrias out or anything out, then you go Layla Viking, draw a card, Cloud Darkness to kill something. Now that's 4 forwards. He costs 2. And if he gets 1,000 power for each forward you have, and if he's 10,000 or higher, he gets haste, and when he attacks, you break a 3 CP or less forward. He, in conjunction with like the Layla Vikings, just won so many games out of nowhere. Like I'd have 1 forward, and then I'd end my turn with 5, and they lost a guy and took 2 points of damage. Like the deck is so insane. So now going along with all of these, I guess we'll push it over here. Illawa. So everyone should know what Illawa does by now. She's hard to kill. She counters the first thing it targets her unless it's an EX burst. She still tries to target it but still dies. She's haste, 3 CP, just good, clean aggro. But also, Shoal is a heck of an ability. You get to activate all of your forwards. They all get haste, and then you negative 2,000 power their whole field. So it's a super aggressive play. There was a turn this game, or this tournament, where I started the turn with an Agrias and an Illawa, and I ended up with an Agrias, Illawa, Layla, Viking, Ramza, Shoal. So, like, deck's pretty explosive at times.
Blowout, yeah.
And again, we'll get into a couple more of the special plays that go along with that. Just for a little bit of card advantage, we're playing 4 CP for him. Again, not the 2 CP. So we only play 4 summons, so the other one doesn't get a whole lot of value. But this one also costs 4, which helps with Fusoya. It also draws a card, less cost. You see the theme by now. Look at the top 3, pick a card. Also, the action ability of just being able to pay 1 CP, dull, and choose an action ability and cancel it. Like, if you ever have hit a star symbol with that, it is the best feeling in the world. I didn't get to use the ability even once the whole tournament, at least not this time. But this card was pretty good a couple times when I had to go really deep to not die, and then I like found a purple card and played Ramza because this was the one to get it down to 2 or something. It's just a good 2 of. It's an EX burst, fair value, and obviously, like I said, I want a lot of forwards, and these are a lot of the same names, 3 of, so it's nice to have a couple options that are, you know, more niche, and you can kind of slide in there when you have your main guys out. The next card, which, oh man, this card, Maya. Pseudo removal on a forward. When you go to combat, it's kind of like wall. You pick one of 3 modes, and if you're at 5 damage or more, you get 2 modes, which is absurd. Mode 1, choose a forward, and until the end of turn, it gets 1,000 power and first strike. The number of times I did that against like Wind Water and just like made Maya an 8k first strike or something, or made Agrias before I had 7 characters or whatever. Just having that first strike's awesome, especially in decks that have like Val 4 and other ways to do chip damage after they block with a smaller guy. But probably the most relevant mode is dulling something. Like, it just gets it out of the way. Like, that thing can block me, those other ones can't. Just get rid of it. And then also, a couple times it was relevant, give a category Mobius forward other than Maya haste. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, that's a heck of a Mobius card. So there was a time where I played Cloud Darkness with 3 forwards, -6, not enough to kill, but gave it haste, -3, finish off your 9k. Like, these 2 cards together are great, and also sometimes randomly giving Fusoya haste is relevant, especially like on 5 damage. I think once I got to give him haste and +1k first strike, so he just got swinging for 7. I had Lulu out, just put him to 8. At that point, Fusoya is a pretty good beat stick. So Maya facilitates a lot of plays. A lot of the times, I valued her more than almost anything on the board because she would make any forward I play later better. And then the last 2 one-ofs. The first, you might have seen in some lists, Golbez, my good old friend. He costs 1 less for each 5 cards in your break zone. So I would actually lay out my break zone in 5s to make sure I knew the math. But then he gets back a forward of cost 5 or less. And getting back a Cloud of Darkness, getting back Illawa specials, getting back Maya, like, it does everything you want. It's another copy of Sage, which we'll get into in the backups later. It's a great card. I'm glad I played it. 9k body was relevant multiple times. Just a fantastic card for this deck. Now, if you guys have seen the other deck lists before, a lot of decks play Veritas. I cut that card in favor of the 3rd Kane because I wanted to guarantee that whenever I drew a card, I could pitch it for CP. So there were a lot of times where, again, I knew I was going to have to go wide. I knew that if I bricked, it was going to be game-ending, so I want to guarantee that, even though Veritas is a very good card. However, my last tech slot, I chose to play a Cecil. So, it might have been a while since you've seen this card. Old Opus 2, Legend, Cecil, 9k. Must block if possible, which is the kind of crux of the card. But Cecil doesn't receive damage from summons or abilities, and he makes all of your forwards the same, and gives them +1000 power. So not only does he synergize with cards already in the deck, like our friend Ramza. Where's Ramza? So this guy counts as 2 for Ramza. We also have the Ovelia backup we'll get into later, Japanese version, sorry, but it makes Knights +1000 power. It's like if these 2 are on the field, like he's just giant. Maya can pump him. But the main reason I played this card, last minute switch too, I actually cut it back up to play him. He just shuts out Modifier, and I knew that was going to be kind of another deck of the weekend, and he makes it so Terra can't combo with their summons, all their summons can't remove you, they have to attack into you and be able to kill you, and something cool that I was able to do was Illawa special with Cecil out, so he could attack, so that he wasn't forced to block. And that was a super important synergy, I think in like 2 games. He was actually very relevant this weekend. My first match on day 2 against Rigoberto, the guy who won the Dark Crystal Cup, he was playing Fire against me, and I found the Cecil and got to play it. And it pumped the brakes for a few turns, and I was able to rebuild and do a crazy X-Death play we'll talk about later.
Oh, man. All right.
Yeah, all right. Let's move on to the summons. Let's get these out of here. So summons are pretty simple. 2 Ramu. It's just a good catch-all card. Definitely won me my game against Sam Tool as well in day 2 because he played Zidane and was like kind of all in on that sticking. The 4 CP Zidane that when it attacks looks your hand takes a card. And I was just Ramu kill, take 2 damage from Layla Viking. So super good. But also it can get dull things to get out of the way. I never broke a monster with it, but you can break a monster 2 or less. And then also you can give a lightning forward, you control haste. I did that once with a Fusoya. So it's pretty versatile, but it's mainly there to deal 7,000 and dull something for your aggressive turns. And then also Kuhulain. So he was the only card I wasn't sure about in the deck, but again, like I said, Sam Tool helped me a lot with this and like kind of getting me thinking about the lines and what was important. He said this card sometimes just makes it so you can't lose that turn. Like you can't lose in combat because you just attack. Normally your opponent plays something, so they have some dull backups. Mm-hmm. They might have one guy dull from attacking. And this card shrinks by 1,000 power for each dull thing they have, and then you draw a card. Again, 4 CP, draw a card. It actually costs less. Yeah, so I mean, I could attack into like a 10k with my like 7k Agrias or something and just shrink. I win combat, draw a card, you lost a guy. Just another efficient removal spell. Not my favorite card in the deck, but it definitely has its place, regardless if I like it or not. It's one of those cards you have to accept that the deck just wants. Now getting into the backups, let's get into, we'll start off with kind of the solid package, which is the cards that you kind of always play. 3 Merleweb is probably the most important, like singularly important backup. Searches your Agrias, searches Vikings, searches Laylas. The card, like if you open up, I opened up a Viking once, turn 1, and a Merleweb. Just went and found Layla, next turn jam Layla Viking. Or even that turn, depending on your hand. Or if you don't have either half of that, you just go find Agrias. It finds whatever card you need to begin your game. Normally, you're either going for a Layla Viking aggressive start, or you're going for an Agrias in a value start. So it facilitates both modes of the deck. Next card, which also is one of my favorites, Sage. So Sage costs 4, and you get a character back from the break zone. This got back Shoal special or Illawa specials, Shoal. It got back Cloud Darknesses, got back Ramses, got back anything you need that's in the break zone. And like I said, this deck it draws a lot of cards, so you end up pitching a lot of cards, and you almost have like a second hand size as long as you have a backup space open for Sage. Also, the whole 4 cost 2 thing. Then also one of Gramps, another one of those, just like I don't know what else to play there, but you can't play another 3 CP card. You could, but it draws a card. It's pretty good. It's an EX burst. I wasn't crazy about it, but I also I couldn't figure out a reason to cut it, so I just stuck with it. Now, going into the Agrias cards, so what I mean by that is the characters of cost 3 or less that you want to flip into. There's 2 that don't actually search, and that is Ovelia, which gives your Knights plus 1,000 power. That includes Agrias and Ramza. And then Lulu, which also gives 1,000 power to Lightning forwards. So if you have both of these out, that's Ramza plus 2,000 just from your backups, not even counting what forwards you have. And that was relevant. One game I had both of them, and Ramza was just insane that game. I played all 3 of them and just kept removing my opponent's dudes. And then the other card that doesn't search, I played a Minwu because I was worried about, again, fire decks and like Terra combos and stuff with Fire Ice even. Like if they Glossy Loboas plus Terra, that's 9k. But with this, it's 2-0, 7-0 on my bigger guys. So this was a super important card, theoretically. I never wanted to play it much because I actually didn't play against a lot of fire. I got kind of really weird matchups, to be honest, in the beginning. Towards the end, I played against some fire and fire ice decks as I got up the bracket, but Minwu actually never felt as good as I wanted it to. I don't think I would cut it, but I definitely could understand if somebody wanted to. And now the searchers. So I played 4 searchers to flip into with Agrias. Duke Larg searches Ramza and Agrias. Instead of Pangoli searches for Illawa. King of Bermesia searches for Kane. That's also why I played 3 Canis, because I chose to play this searcher. So I didn't want to ever miss if I drew it. And then also Braun searches Vikings. Again, Vikings are important. Vikings draw you cards. Vikings make your board big. Then the last 2 cards, we'll talk about the most important card in the entire deck last. But Yuna, I play as a 1 of. That's a complete tech slot, complete up to you what you want to play in this. I've seen a lot of decks play 2 Gramps, or they play a lid. I actually cut the lid for the Cecil. I didn't like lid. Might be wrong, might be right, I don't know. I did fairly well, but results-based thinking is always correct. So this card stops a lot of decks. Like if I was against Mono Water, I would want this, so that anytime a Knight or a Viking left the field, I could remove it, and they can't get it back with Layla's, Lena's, whatever. Also, EXing it feels pretty good sometimes. A lot of cards right now have entry ability, so it's not always great. But once in a while, you can catch your opponent with, oh, you attacked in a weird order, I'm going to bounce your thing that doesn't actually do anything. Bouncing Porums feels good, 2 CP Porums, so they can't just like leave it up on defense. They have to invest back into it to replay it. And then you double with Maya. So, good card. Again, I could see arguments for cutting it, but my favorite card in the entire deck, and it won me more games than anything in the entire world, X-Death.
All right, let's hear the play. What happened with X-Death?
Okay, so let's see. We'll go play number 1 with X-Death on day 2. It was that turn I was talking about with Agrias and Illo on the field. I had exactly like 5 cards or something. Played X-Death, got back my Layla, got back a Viking, drew a card. That card was Illo special. My other 2 cards in hand were a purple card Ramza. So I went purple card Ramza because I had 4, so it only cost 2. Then I was able to swing with Ramza, kill a guy, swing, haste, kill, kill, kill. Another time in Swiss, my opponent had he was playing the Earth, Water, EX Burst, like Titan, Ash, that kind of deck. I went X-Death, take your wall, go to combat, no EX Burst. That felt really good. Against Kyle McGinty, unfortunately I thought I might have had 13 characters, but I don't. But I at least had the option to take his Lightning Legend and then dull 2 things, so when it enters dull and then when it attacks dull, but it wasn't even in my deck. I think I took somebody's Lice once to pump my guys. I brought back my Cloud of Darkness. The card is just absolutely insane. It's kind of like another Sage, because it gets something back, but it goes right to the field, which is really important. And there's a lot of times you can, that's also why I play the 3rd Kane, is because I like breakable backups, and this deck has none, really. So having the option to break it back up, play Kane, break something, make space for X-Death was perfect. The stuff you can do with this card is just, the possibilities are endless. Like if you draw an Illua, instead of playing it, you can just X-Death back an Illua, and then you have Shoal Special. So stuff like that. Card's amazing. I got back Layla and Viking more times than I'd care to admit, because it seems like that's such a low value play, but going really wide for Ramza and drawing a card is just amazing. So yeah, that's basically the deck. I would say definitely key cards are those 3. It's kind of your facilitator, your kind of backup plan and tech slot, and then your closer. Like, the 3 cards are insane. They all cost 6. Makes Facilitator kill everything. Deck's awesome.
All right, man. Well, again, Zach, congratulations this weekend. We can't wait to see. Excuse me. We can't wait to see what you guys do at Worlds.
Neither can I.
All right, man. Well, we'll see you around, man. Thanks again.
And thank you.